Hi, Day. Well, um, before you say somebody is making a call to arms, you should be able to quote somewhere where they did that. Um, my my view in economics is no more radical than my views in philosophy. You know, some people who are you know more in tune with the traditional biases of Western philosophy think the philosophical system I present is radical too, since I'm saying that there's really a whole new way to understand each and every term in epistemology and cognition, and those outside see it as just a reasonable exploration of concepts, and it's the same in economics. Now, I did mention that there's more domain knowledge for me to have in economics, and that's just humility and rationality. Uh, it's not that I haven't thought about these things. You see, you have to think about these things and look at. No, I have plenty of experience. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies and startups, and I've been paying attention, thinking about these concepts for quite a while. Now, if you want to make these uh, accusations that the ideas are overly simple, I, I suggest that you be very specific and narrow in on what you think is simplistic. And given the semantic issues that have to be resolved in our communication, um, you'll have to do that before. And it's not going to be a lack of thought. These are not ideas that I have not put thought into. That'll make them simplistic. So it won't be really simplicity. It'll be perhaps I've misapprehended something. Now, I I'm not unexposed to theories of economy. Um, I read John Rawls 25 years ago, so if anything, it's not fresh in my mind, rather than not having been exposed to things like this. So, so let's get to a point that's actually worth considering. Uh, what's wrong with money? Why do I focus on money? First of all, when you want to design a complex system, uh, you can't just do it whole. I mean, some of your complaint is like, well, you should figure out all these things before you bring them in. No, I should not. The economy, if I figured out a perfectly good, coherent system for the economy, that's just me. The economic systems, by their very nature, when engineered, have to be engineered by groups of people. It's simply the only way. There is not an autocratic way to decide and then impose or even advocate the imposition of those systems based on what would work for one person. There's a lot of mathematical systems that are coherent. Doesn't mean it will suit everybody's lifestyle, because the economy is a system that impacts people's life and their preferences and personal desires come into it. But I will tell you something about money that that shows an error. And if you have a system and you say, well, the money just pools up in one place, it's simple. Then once it pools up there, take it somewhere else. The system is a circulatory system. If the resources pool up somewhere, and you have to just take them from there to the other place, the system is supposed to circulate them to the other place. You know, I don't trust human nature to consistently give the power to move that to somewhere else. Now, there's lots of problems, but I focused on this one so that we could discuss it. And you can't imagine, another system. Evidently, you admit there's this problem. But you said, for example, money is just an abstraction, which is a point I started this conversation off with. It's just an abstraction. It is not off the table. It's not an a priori construct. You said that if you thought about this, I have thought about it. I've thought about it and applied it in abstract systems and game design of literally of games, and in system design in more abstract, metaphorically related ways. The problem with money is it's an abstraction of value, and as such, it's implicit within the concept is that everything can be reduced to a single measure of value. And clearly, there are different kinds of value. For example, there's this $1 million supercar, which I was recently exposed to. There's a video of one driving into a lake. Looks like it might have been intentional, but hard to tell. And there's, let's say, a baby dies due to the negligence of some business, say, and it was accidental, but negligent. So the negligence is an accidental, but not an intentional killing, let's say. And the family is awarded $1 million penalty from the company. Implicit in this is the idea that that baby's life is worth the same as this supercar. And I think it's pretty obvious that that's not the case, and that those values, in fact, are incomparable, because there's no way to say that the supercar should cost less, and or that the baby's life shouldn't be worth more, or that the baby's life can even be represented that way. And if that example doesn't suit you, if you're not simple-minded, you can think of valuations where two things have the same economic value and are not really of the same value. $1 million of food actually has a different value than $1 million car. They're different because the purpose they're put to, because value has to do with utility, and it depends how you use it, what it's used for. Because of cognitive science and really evolutionary psychology, this creates a problem, which I described in earlier videos and you missed and haven't mentioned. Okay, and I think there's obviously something for you to mention on this, which is, if no matter what I want in my life, I want an expensive car, I want to feed my family, I want to have a roof over my head, I want there to be a park down the street, no matter what I want, I have to pursue money. This habituates a human mind to seeking money. Over the centuries and millennia, we become habituated, and eventually, by the principle of evolution, would evolve to have this expectation of wanting money. Now, I relate this, and this is an implicit thing in capitalism, that value can be represented in this monolithic rating scale of money, which any liberal or socialist should understand the problem with right away. This leads to the idea that it's good to get money, so that even if I have all of my needs met, all of my desires for luxuries met, I'm still left with the desire for money, which has become primal. Right? It's become a direct, it's indirect by design, and yet I experience it as a direct desire for money. Okay. And we see this in society, don't we? And I believe it's because of the design of money. And this is why I go into things such as such as other forms of currency backed by other things. And I would like to ask you if you agree that everything can be reduced to a common singular value scale. And if not, then money's badly designed.